You're watching this week's show with Dan and Mike.
This week's show podcast.
Hello.
And we are back in the time where we can actually do like regular things. So
I mean, there's no festivals.
there's no festivals. And therefore no blogs for the moment, which is a bit of a shame because both enjoyed filming those and then doing the post on it as well because, well, compared to last year we did a lot more footage. I think, by the way, shout out to this man for doing so much filming this year, but we ended up with, I think...
covered it last week where I was just hits explode around me.
But I think you ended up per festival doing at least an extra 3 hours of raw material to what we had last year, but I still had to do the same small blog. So there were genuine points where I was having so much fun at some of the moments that you had captured. It's like, well, which one do I choose? So it's at least giving me a break from stressing about that. And like getting beaten up in pits that he wasn't expecting to form around him.
No, I wasn't beaten up, I was just...
You were the lone person in the middle.
Impress me, bro.
I still want next year, if you see an opportunity to two-step whilst a wall of death is being waited on as the lone person in the middle, I'd definitely...
I think that's been done though.
And,
but we know that there's going to be at least one wall of death at Bloodstock.
To body count?
Them as well, probably, actually. But I was thinking more Slaughter to Prevail because it's an integral part of their set.
True, and I mean, you never know. He's managed to get so many people to guest with him or he's gone and guested on. Do you reckon he might be tempted to turn up to Bloodstock a little bit early and just...
No, because they're playing in Europe.
Ah, that is a shame.
It's like I've said before, if you look at lineups for other festivals and tours and stuff, you know who roughly is going to be announced. Like Download's announcing on the 3rd of November.
Okay, so we're less than a month to getting that.
All those people that have gone, oh, it's got to be YUNGBLUD. He's just announced the US tour and he was definitely the wrong side of the States to come over, so unless he's doing something special.
But also begs the question with YUNGBLUD, and you're a bit more of a fan, see if you can answer it, but I do watch a lot of his interviews because I find it quite interesting. Is it against the ethos of Bloodfest for him to perform at one of those sort of multi-100-pound ticket festivals? So
it's a long story, but the reason he set up Bloodfest is because people couldn't afford to go to festivals.
I know that
to
much.
See him, because they were $600 type things.
But does that mean now that Bloodfest is going to be in its 3rd year next year, does that mean that he feels disingenuous if he was to get booked for Download? Even if he still did Bloodfest, still headlined it?
I think now that it's going into a 3rd and there's future in it, then there's the possibility that he could be playing festivals at some point because he is keeping a low ticket price festival.
So people can still access him there, but it would mean that he could do Download.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if you had heard anything from him about it.
What I would say is there's an awesome podcast with YUNGBLUD and it's called The Magnificent Others, and it's hosted by Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins, and he has artists on it from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties, teens and beyond.
Wow.
Yeah, he's had some amazing people on that podcast, so go and check it out. But the most latest one is with from now with YUNGBLUD, and they get into it. And
is that off the back of him, because they were the ones that did the podcast to go alongside the album?
Yes, and then
he just kind of carried on.
No, it's just completely different. He's on a podcast network. He's got a podcast studio, and it's all filmed. And yeah, the knowledge that Billy Corgan has, but also the knowledge that YUNGBLUD has. He's got an EP album, I think it's EP, coming out with Aerosmith this month.
I have seen that they were working on that.
Yeah,
I didn't realise it was this month.
Yeah, just in that podcast alone, the things that YUNGBLUD goes into, I don't want to spoil it because
fair enough.
Billy's probably clipped it himself. But
there's an opus.
Yeah, there is. It's a very insightful information, especially because Billy Corgan is so knowledgeable. He goes in one of the podcasts, he talks in depth about the fact that he went and talked at Congress or in Parliament in the States, whatever you call it, about music rights and all this kind of stuff, and you know, he knows his stuff. So
bit of an echo of when Twisted Sister.
That was slightly different, but yeah,
similar. Because I remember you showed me the Jamie Jaster podcast, I think it was,
with Dee Snider.
Where he chatted about that, and then we actually, I think we managed to have at least a couple of minutes with Dee at Bloodstock, didn't we? Where just kind of said, "Love you, thank you for doing everything that you do." I
sat in on an interview for the BBC. I was the cameraman for our old friend Muppington.
I miss him.
And
Matt Mason.
So the information is out there if you want to find out. But as going back to it, announcement-wise, it's an
exciting time.
It is exciting time. Because you mentioned them just now. Body count have been announced for Bloodstock, which is phenomenal.
I think maybe 3 seconds after that announcement, I already had a text to the group chat. Ice-T is at Bloodstock. But that's why we were laughing, because we had spent how many hours going to different festivals trying to, and we always discuss who's going to headline, who we think is going to be possible. At no point did we say body count for Bloodstock.
No.
And so I love the fact that they know their booking so well that they knew that nobody would expect it, but there's an awful lot of people that are here for it.
Oh yeah.
I'm hoping maybe, I know they're a bit big, but maybe that also means that if Prophets of Rage were to reform, because we had such a good time watching them at Boomtown. And
listening to them at Download.
As
we pulled our mobile studio up the hill.
I didn't think that Bloodstock could surprise me anymore, but it definitely wasn't my standard. And whenever Mike asks me what band I think is going to appear at something, my standard answer, even if they're already booked, is Bullet for My Valentine.
Well, I still think Bloodstock have got some more surprises to pull out, because they've announced the extra day on the main stage with Saxon and Evil Scarecrow, and now Body Count, and I reckon, because it's their 25th anniversary, I reckon there's going to be more that comes out.
I mean, look at what a gas we had at Download's 20th anniversary of being branded as Download. An extra day, Bloodstock have done that too. Obviously, we managed to tick off every Metallica song that we had never caught live across the 2 nights. But to then also have Slipknot come back and do a crushing set for the last night, and watch Bring Me come up and do something big. Got anniversary, sort of energy to follow Bloodstock, and you're doing well so far.
Yeah, and there's going to be announcements, I'd imagine, for 2000 Trees.
Yep.
That would probably be coming soon as well.
Reading does it just before Christmas?
Or just after Christmas.
So Christmas money.
Because it's much later in the year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's exciting times. There's tours being announced for September, October 2026.
Was that the link that you sent me earlier?
I Prevail with Polaris.
Oh, I love Polaris so much.
It's a good combination, but that's so far in advance.
I mean, it shows you just how popular they've got when they're booking around the world. Suddenly you're getting late 2026 dates, because that means there's bookings all the way up to that point before they can actually get back to the UK.
Well, I saw someone post, I think it might have been in that thread actually, buy the tickets this year, and when it comes to the gig next year, it's like you're going for free because it came out of last year's budget.
Exactly. Money you've already forgotten about.
Tips here.
So we're back in another album club for this week. And
so many albums to choose. September was a bumper month of albums. It was hard to pick.
We might even, if we get time at the end of this one, is get Mike's special mentions on things that...
Too many to mention.
Too many to mention, but if you are interested in keeping up to date on a weekly basis with what albums are dropping, what singles are out from current albums, even down to some nerdy stuff like who your collabs are, the record labels, sometimes even PRs as well, if the PR's been particularly funny in the way that they've serviced a track to us. My James Rock Show, links below. The name of the channel is the name of our radio show that we've been doing a lot longer than this podcast. And we do it every week. It's to celebrate new music from sort of newbies to OGs, I think was one of the ways we put it for a while.
That was the title of it this week's show.
Yeah. So you can literally find bands like this man takes emails from all around the world, and the only thing that normally means that you might not get on there is sort of bad production where it's not going to be making the band look good if we play it. Like, it's got quite a filter for that.
I've got 3 filters it goes through. Does the email make sense? If so, yes. Can I click on a link and play it straight away, or do I have to open something to open something to open something else to listen to it? Can't do that whilst I'm driving. And
True.
I listen to pretty much most of the music, if it's sent during UK daytime, then I listen to it in my van.
I mean, that's honest to God, one of the best ways to digest something is driving, especially if you do what he currently does and I used to, where you drive for a living that many hours a week.
I do. I drive drugs across county borders. True story, bro.
Yep, refrigerated and security protected drugs.
Yeah.
No, you can't have his number. He doesn't accept new customers. All right. But I thought for Album Club, I'm going to go a little bit left at the traffic lights from what you were probably expecting me to present.
Well, I know we're looking at September, so it can't be Taylor Swift, because that's going to be October's Album Club. Such a good album. Well done, Taylor. That collab as well with Sabrina Carpenter, the last track.
So you get that reaction from him, whereas I'm a bit more Cillian Murphy, where I want to seem like I'm good, but yeah, it's kind of like she's just flashed her engagement ring in front of me, and they're trying to like not think that this is really crap, because I love him. He genuinely tries to give the right reaction, because he's a lovely guy from every interview that you ever seen, people that work with him, but yeah, genuinely he did not give a single damn about her showing a ring off.
Nah.
But why would he? He's not from a culture that really cares about that. So but no, the expected one, but it was partly because we talked about it so much on previous podcasts and on the radio show. I thought I wouldn't do I Prevail.
Yeah, it's overplayed. I think I've worn it out on Spotify.
But not only that, but they're smashing it at the moment in so many ways. And whilst this next band that I have chosen for my album is actually a little bit linked to things that we're doing as well, because I thought instead I'll go for Nevertel, still within the September. It was September 12th that one came out on, and they did Start Again.
They did.
This is their second album overall. We're going to hopefully catch them this weekend live.
Fingers crossed!
And you never know if, with the way these things work, it's always put together last second. We might even get a chance to chat to them, which, again, I would love to tell them that I like the album so much in an interview that I presented it on a podcast about albums, because I knew about Nevertel from a reel they did years ago in 2018 for their track No Reverse. And I remember playing it to you because it had some pretty good rapping in it. And you're like, yeah, fair enough. But they've got, at that point, this is, a long time ago, a ways to go. Because it was very like, when it's disjointed, you have a rapping verse that sounds great by itself and a chorus that sounds great by itself, but you kind of jam them together and it doesn't quite get the harmonious sort of mix. Yeah, no, they've definitely worked out their mix now. And I think it's one of the things that made me really excited about this album is they no longer are doing that almost Linkin Park-y, almost metalcore did it for a while as well, where they're trying to go, right, every song has to have a certain amount of rapping, or a certain amount of screaming, or a certain amount of singing.
And a sub drop.
I got to admit, I want a sub drop to be in every song. Like, I love them so much. But this album, this one feels like they know what style they're trying to go for, but they've also gotten rid of all of those preconceptions of what their sound was and just written a really, really coherent album where I think there's a point where you can go 3 to 4 tracks with absolutely no rapping from the bassist and second vocalist. It's all just singing from the main vocalist guitarist. And he's also like levels beyond where he was when he started. You can tell it's what we call the gig-worn voice.
Yes, match ready.
Match ready. First couple albums, if you're a decent singer, you're writing whatever's in your head. We've done so many interviews about first album-itis, which is, it's written over 5 years rather than 5 months. And when Stitch, D, now Lee Downer, shout out to you for doing a lot of talking about this on one of your Defiled albums, is sometimes writers will sit there, write the best vocal line that they can think of.
And then can't sing it.
Or, like with Lee Downer, he then wrote the best guitar line he could think of. Turns out his brain couldn't cope with doing both those really complicated things. And the thing was, he had to tell me that it wasn't to the level that he liked. Because we genuinely thought it was great live when we saw that track.
Oh, yeah.
But he was never happy. And then watching it after we had that interview, it was one of those moments I realised that he had to stand stock still so that the only two things he was concentrating on was voice and guitaring. Whereas I think the stuff he does now is very much designed for him to have fun. And I think Nevertel have done the same thing with Start Again as an album, where you can tell that they've warmed into the voice, he knows what he can do.
Yeah.
Guitaring
his
is...
limitations.
Yeah, as well as where he can push himself to do more than he did before as well. And one of my favourite tracks, this hasn't been served up as a single, it was just, sometimes you listen through and like something just hooks you.
Yep.
I recommend fully Good Intentions as a track. Don't know why, it's lovely lyrical content. You could read that as a poem, and I always think that's a good track if the lyrical content makes enough coherent sense. Obviously party music's probably never going to have poetic lyrics, but this was quite good.
You could do.
I mean, it was quite entertaining. They only did one collab on this album, and it was with Sleep Theory.
Yes.
Very much had to check, because I nearly said Sleep Token, and that would have been amazing if they had, don't get me wrong. But given that...
Probably with the guitarist or the drummer, but I can't see Vessel beaming down to sing a couple of lines in one song.
Though, funnily enough, I think that Nevertel would be one of the few places that Vessel could, because it's everything that Sleep Token has, from the rapping to the singing, just very, very different bases of where that's come from. So you wouldn't think of the both at the same time, but Vessel can sing incredibly.
Oh yeah.
And he can rap. So I'm putting it out there, Vessel. You should probably either get Nevertel to appear on some of your stuff, first ever collab for Sleep Token, or just randomly, out of all the bands in the world that are desperate to work with you, choose Nevertel because they've got a good sound for you. Go just jump in there. But it would be one of those
Interesting.
a bit... Do you know what I mean? But it would be a bit like Charlie Simpson. I don't think Vessel could ever do a guest performance or go out in a different mask under a different name and people not know it's him now.
Unless he has a different voice.
Suddenly comes up with the sixth voice of Vessel, because he's got at least 5 across...
Probably like Sam doing the Eurovision thing. So out of space, man, it goes right up there, but like...
we know him from Blessed with a Broken Heart, where, to begin with, he was only... How has Sam Ryder ever been a backing vocalist for somebody? But there is a very old... so do Blessed by a Broken Heart acoustic, and you can see Sam Ryder with the proper chops all the way down the chin, just backstage in a green room doing an acoustic performance of one of their songs. And it's so funny to see him with the almost like the Black Veil Brides type of rock star look, rather than what we got used to with him doing Eurovision and everything.
Yeah.
But I love that because I think Sam's a great example of what most metalheads are like. Is we like metal, we'll be in a metal band first or like metal bands first, but then there is so much diversity to the other stuff that we listen to. Hence why you can even name which tracks you like off the Taylor Swift album. So I think that's me on that one, because Break the Silence was a Sleep Theory track. It's an awesome track, but I do recommend Good Intentions. It's just a mid-album track that I think is great. So that's pretty much me on that one.
Cool, I was spoiled for choice, but I went for an album that's actually only been out a couple of weeks at the end of September.
Okay.
Which was Dying...
Got to get the right one now.
Is it Night Witch or
Dying Fetus?
Dying
that
Fetus.
Is a band, okay? That is a band.
No, it's Dying Witch.
Wish.
Wish. That's a hark back to the radio show for our old listeners and fans there.
Yeah, no, we have not ever deliberately mispronounced stuff. We've just apparently spent years mispronouncing things that we shouldn't have done.
Unintentionally trying to make it funny, which only works in the studio, not in the listeners' ears. But the album is called Flesh Stays Together.
Okay.
It's out on SharpTone Records.
That's unsurprising, because SharpTone, we're wondering whether or not they're moving to being just a kick-ass label rather than a kick-ass bit of everything that they were doing for the last few years, because
still seems to be a little bit of everything on
they've got
SharpTone.
so many bands now. You know, if you're not aware of SharpTone's history, make sure you check them out as part of our recommends today.
We could do a deep dive on them quite easily.
Actually, that's a hell of an idea. Rather than a band, we do a SharpTone deep dive.
A label deep dive.
I like it.
Yes.
In fact, we could do that on some PRs as well, because there's some PRs that have such interesting history. I'm thinking like...
I don't know if PRs would want that kind of...
Attention
on
No, we'd have to talk to them first. But yeah, there's a couple of... I'm not even going to say which ones I find interesting, but there are some very interesting ones out there.
Yeah.
But what hooked you in about Dying Wish?
The album artwork.
This is
we've played a couple of the tracks on the radio show, but the artwork when it came out was just like, well, that's going to attract some attention. I'm sure future Dan will post it up somewhere in the ether, here, or here, near the subscription and the like and the notification bell bit. But yes,
I do one then the other.
Once you've seen this artwork, then you'll understand why it's quite striking. It's definitely should have one of those black and white parental advisory just for the artwork.
Okay.
Or at least stuck over a part of it, and when you see it, you'll understand.
Well, do you remember when music stores used to put promo labels over offensive bits of artwork?
Yeah, that may contain explicit language is the only reason that there are gold disc selling artists, because kids would be like going, that's naughty, I'm buying that, and they've told me it's naughty.
Genuinely, I did that when I was a kid.
Yeah, same here.
I was at the point of albums were still we had 3 mega stores of music in our tiny hometown at the point I was buying albums. Now we've got one music store that sells mostly posters and gaming merch
and Funko Pops.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a reason those big high street sort of music shops don't work anymore. It's because they started to sell vouchers to iTunes. Come to our shop, buy music vouchers for our rivals.
Yes.
I don't want to be controversial, but that's exactly why there was a downfall of all these...
Well, as well as just, it was what Lars tried to fight against years ago, is we just, for those that don't know, Lars very famously made himself even more hated, because it wasn't a good period in his career anyway for being well liked by people. That's changed a lot now. But he fought Napster, the original file sharing, illegal downloading music thing, and Napster was the precursor to LimeWire and a few others.
Pirate Bay.
Turning into Pirate Bay and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What we never realised is that Lars was right, and we should have paid far more attention at that point, because all they did was legalise the concept of Napster.
Yeah.
Charge people a tenner a month up to 20 quid a month depending on the package you get. And now everything that he said was going to happen to sort of the industry money, individual bands money, and we just don't have
technology's moved on as well.
We just don't have the super rich rock stars anymore, unless they already were rich like Metallica, where they're
legacy bands.
But they're also, Metallica work incredibly hard to put that money back into the band. That's why Download stole their towers, because their backline is amazing.
Yeah.
But I digress, because I feel quite passionately about this.
With Dying Wish.
My Dying Wish is no Spotify.
It's so varied in its sound, but Emma Boster, the vocalist, her range is amazing. Her voice can go from angelic and sort of very peaceful and calming to really growly, rough, smoking 20 Marlboros a day kind of like gravelly kind of sound.
So is that all within the singing bracket, or does she go into more like?
It's all singing, yeah.
Yeah. So there's no like.
It's raspy, but there's like.
No gutturals.
Not really. No, we're not sort of talking employed to serve or something like that, where she's like, and just.
It has not.
Whereas there's the guitar tonings and stuff. It harmonises with her voice, so it kind of floats, almost like a Within Temptation, where it becomes an instrument as well as, you know, it harmonises with the keyboards.
Or like Nightwish, when they had Tarja, that could actually, like, her operatic style was able to follow the soundscape.
I'm just impressed with Emma's vocals, because it's I wouldn't say operatic, but she can sing.
Yeah.
It for me, it seems like it's been a lifetime of doing sort of Glee Club at school kind of thing, or amateur dramatics, and there's obviously some sort of training that's gone in. It's not just, I'm going to go and sing rock, because I think she could her voice could be used on pop tracks or indie tracks, or, you know, saying the same 4 words over and over again on a dance track.
True. And we're also of the sort of generation where it's still kind of novel to us because of what we had, where James Hetfield is a great example of somebody that learnt to sing after they got huge, rather than having, as you say, a lifetime of learning to sing to then package that up for a band.
Riley Sykes,
who learnt to sing years after doing gutturals and screaming, and then turned out to be one of the best clean vocalists of current industry times.
Because he puts his, you can feel the emotion in his voice like you can with Emma.
Also, just general vocal control and breath control of screaming for that long, and learning how not to damage your voice when doing something that brutal. I watched it, I don't think it was with Ollie, I think it was with Ghost Inside, because he did the same switch of screaming for years and then clean singing. That vocal control, you don't lose it when you switch to clean, you just need to have the confidence to try and get a nice note out of it. But I quite like the fact that she's not, I'm going to have to give it a listen based on your recommendation, but from what you're telling me, that she's not trying to do the dual vocals of here's my screaming parts, here's my singing parts, and there's less variance within that. I actually really like it when somebody has enough faith in one or the other, a bit like Winston for screaming or Caskets for singing, where you have enough faith in what you're doing that you can vary that to create an album's worth of sound, rather than going, I have to do dual styles to keep people interested.
It's quite a short album. It's only just over half an hour.
Wait, 10 songs, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is actually, for 10 songs, that's quite short.
It is, yeah.
Okay. That's caught me by surprise.
Revenge in Carnage is probably the best one. I'd start with that one if I was you.
Revenge in Carnage.
Yeah, it shows her full vocal range and the guitars, and it's just a full
Punch You in the Face.
Yeah, there's that as well. There's a couple of tunes like that on it. It's a great album. It's a good follow-up from the last album, which was only 2 years ago. So their production and their turnover is going quite rapidly by the sounds of it. Because I think the album before that was only a couple of years. I think it was a pandemic-y type album.
Yeah,
so
those were all
they're
strange
ticking
ones.
through them quite quickly. So
well, to be fair,
bright.
Any band that was together during the pandemic probably left with a couple of albums worth of material beyond what they had released, because
boredom sets in. And
I was going to say, most of our interviews are like, I'm just writing song after song after song that will probably never see the light of day.
If you want to hear an artist talk about that, go back to our last radio show on Mixcloud, because G from Heartless talked all about writing in the pandemic and what's happened afterwards, kind of thing. It's insightful.
Yeah, I wonder if some bands feel weird about some of the pandemic stuff they wrote, as their general mood and mental health would have changed a lot since 2020, coming back out of the pandemic, getting back on the road. Whether they still feel the need to put out the same product that they made there, or whether, because we had a whole thing where we even called them pandemic albums, where the whole thing was about coping with the feelings of being at home, doing all of that.
There's definitely albums that are time-stamped to 2020 and 2021.
100%. But I also quite liked seeing the energy when they finally got to take those albums to stage, because hardly ever do you have to wait nearly 18 months, 2 years once you've written something. I felt very sorry for the bands that had literally just dropped things when the pandemic happened. And there were bands
It'll happen again.
Yeah, well, probably with the way the world's set up. But there were bands, I think, that dropped nearly 3 albums, one just before pandemic, mid-pandemic and post. And then they're like, damn it, we've got to try and get through some of this live when we play it. So that's why if you ever see a band that you like, I'm offering to do an extra long set, you go for the deep cuts that you never hear on a popular hit-space set.
Yeah.
Anything else about that one that you want to mention?
No, just
make sure you listen to it.
Yeah, once you've listened or watched this podcast, go and check out the albums that we've talked about in depth.
Yeah, and we've got previous album clubs on the channel that you can go back and find, and we plan to do a few more before year's end. I'm going to try and see if I can keep bringing stuff that Mike doesn't predict that I'm going to, because that actually makes, I think, things a little bit more fun, that it wasn't just we're talking about I Prevail for the 16th time this month.
It's a good album, though.
It's such a good album. That would be my special mention of the show, is that I think it's that good that it doesn't need extra promo. That everybody that finds it is just going to be on it. And I Prevail are so good at their social media at the moment. I was even laughing this week at they got the new backing vocalist, because he's taken on a lot of duties, like just saying to camera, it's like, wow, I really hope they play Blank Space. And then it cuts the vocalist going, you're in the fucking band.
Yeah.
So they've got the humour down perfect.
Nice.
Later this week, we have a very, very interesting long interview from the vault with Jaz Coleman of Killing Joke, which both of us decided, because it was so long, we're not doing a live watch, because that would be basically half an hour of our faces pointed towards where we watch things. But we've got some quite interesting stuff when we get to that podcast to talk about, because both me and you have expanded our perception since that interview. And I think it would be a very different interview if we had the same Jaz Coleman giving us the same information, and particularly because it was a solo interview that you did. So do check out the next one this week, because that will be the full Jaz Coleman interview and our thoughts 10 years?
It is 10 years.
10 years on from it. So make sure before you go, do a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and join us.
Don't forget, Patriots won again.
Totally knew that.
Against the Buffalo Bills.
I was on the point of saying that.
Yeah.
Totally. Like,
very close score, but we
genuine.
still won. Drink me.
Where are we in the
we're doing all right.
We're doing all right.
We're doing all right.
We're doing all right. I totally know what I'm talking about. Awkward. See you next time.